Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central. Thursday it is. We're counting down to the weekend and we wouldn't stop but bring to you the latest stories concerning news and current affairs. Big news, big things happened while you were asleep, and it's our duty to inundate you, and not just that, but also to give you some of the biggest stories with detailed analysis. My name is Joe Hansen and I'm saying good morning.
And I'm Benga Borough. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Like I always say, you've made a very good decision. Your first great decision this morning by tuning in to watch us this morning. We bring you the best insights on the latest news happening across the country. And this is the best place to wake up to with the some of the news you might have missed overnight. We have a bumper package in store for you today, as always. You're welcome. But Joe, before we get into Wake Up Conversations proper, I just want to talk about some things I've observed in Lagos. You know, we're broadcasting from Lagos. Yeah. Even though we have our Abuja studio, it's always good to mention that, to drop it once in a while. Lagos State, they're doing a fantastic job. I've been seeing them working round the clock to fit street lights in places that used to be notoriously dark, and I'd like to commend them for that. And also appeal to Lagos State government that when you have the drain ducts from the Lagos State Ministry of Environment that take out silt from the gutters, if you don't clear them immediately, there's no point. Because you've reduced the size of the road, it's causing traffic, and the silt is just there on the side of the road. So the point of clearing it is to take it away. So if they do that, it will be nice. It would also be nice for them to fix the potholes on many of the streets in Lagos. But I'm sure they have plans for that. How has your commute been since that very hectic day?
Well, the update is Lagos State has eventually made life easy for those living on the Lekki-Ajah axis. They stopped the construction work after so much cries and shouts. They said it would be postponed up until January when they would resume. But it stopped. The contractors have cleared their trucks. They've taken out every single obstruction or barricade, so people are now moving freely. However,
freely on the bad road.
Freely on because it's still a worrisome journey whenever you embark on that. Still potholes. This morning I hit a big one, and I couldn't help but shout and say, "Oh my goodness!" The fact that
you should have studied the pattern by now.
This is brand new. This is brand new. This is a brand new one. And by the way, it's raining on the island. I'm shocked it's not raining on the mainland. This is a new one, and I said, "Oh my goodness." Yes, you're right with the lights. We could see that Lagos is...
Or even on that axis?
Yes, new ones. They're installing brand new ones. The old ones are still there, but they've left them. They're now installing new ones. And the road is looking brighter, which is very good.
For security and safety,
for security reasons. And also, just for living.
Yeah. I mean, it's a normal thing.
It's a normal thing. It's light. I remember when the Governor Mba put the street lights and the people took their chairs.
I think it was Alex Oti.
Yeah,
they went to sit on the street.
And they went to sit on the street, and they were happy and all that. When people are happy like that, you wonder, but this is normal abroad now. This is normal in other countries. It is just because, like we say, we have been punished.
Yeah, the people have been getting the short end of the stick.
Exactly. We've been punished with bad leadership and improper ways in which we do things. But then again, I like the fact that we say, well done to Lagos State for mounting the street lights. Your report is now going to
after
go to
about 7
your
months.
report will now put it in the cooler so you can rest. If
finally
it goes back to what it is,
we'll
bring it back from the cooler and take it out there. But good one. But in terms of the road, I think they need to pay attention to the roads. They need to be fixed. Fixing shocks, getting new tires all the time. It's expensive.
And the cost of living is becoming too expensive for the living.
Oh, well, yeah. But the SSA to the president does not agree with that statement. I'm talking about Bayo Onanuga.
His realities are different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he put out a tweet yesterday He was celebrating the progress made in terms of the GDP and the conversation we had. And he said, congratulations to the president. He said, Nigeria is becoming more greener. And that statement he made received almost all the comments he got under that statement. About 9 out of 10 persons were telling him, listen, you don't really know the reality. It's obvious that you don't know reality. Don't forget, too, that one of the things that we need to also mention to the SSA, because obviously we do hear that, I mean, the news platforms are a good place for each and every one of them. Just in case you're listening, remember that you had rebased the economy. So you cannot really tell. That is, I'm not an economist, but I can tell you that for free. That, these things are, this is.
But I mean, we spoke to Mr. Muda, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Yes, he's an expert, and he said, look, it hasn't trickled down.
It hasn't.
There's still household inflation, and people are still struggling to meet up to basic necessities. So, I mean, we commend them for the growth, but there's still more to be done.
I want to say, instead of me personally putting it that there's still more to be done, I think there is something to be done. And that thing is that we need to come off our high horses thinking that, okay, we're in the elevated position, so we can look at them and say, okay, everything is fine.
No,
come down from the high horse. Come down. Walk into the market space. Remember just a few months ago, we were hearing, Ebin Pawao, while driving.
It seems there's a disconnect between the government and the government.
Yes. I don't know those who talk to Mr. President, but I think they need to let him know the truth. And the truth simply is, they need to let him know that a tin of milk, a sachet of milk, what it used to be before is no longer the same. They also need to let him know that the cost of housing, accommodation is the biggest challenge now of every single Nigerian, especially if you live in suburb areas or urban areas, I beg your pardon, like Lagos. If you go to places like Abuja, Port Harcourt, ask anybody. They will tell you the rent prices are high.
It's astronomical. But let's get to our wake-up conversations. I mean, just the last 48 hours, we thought, this was going to be a slam dunk. The majority of Nigerians did praise this move. They said it's one great move that Mr. President has done. However, when he went to the Senate, it was a different kettle of fish. It was good for 3 hours. What am I talking about? General Christopher Musa, Nigeria's Affairs Minister nominee, faced a tumultuous Senate screening yesterday with lawmakers, especially Senator Akpabio, rejecting a proposal to let him take a bow and go without thorough questioning. The session turned rowdy as senators insisted on rigorous scrutiny, citing the country's acute insecurity and pressure from the United States President Donald Trump. General Musa, during his screening, expressed regret over the persistent insecurity, calling it very unfortunate and emphasizing the need for a whole-of-society approach, combining technology, community vigilance, and coordinated security responses. He also highlighted unregulated mining as a major source of funding for criminal groups and stressed the importance of accountability within the armed forces. Let's take a listen to General Christopher Musa, retired, at the Senate.
I was here, sir, was as a military man. Today, I'm standing in here as a retired general. To God be the glory, sir. I am General Christopher Musa, retired, the 18th Chief of Defense Staff, Armed Forces of Nigeria. Standing here as a great honor to present myself as nominated by Mr. President as the Minister of Defense of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I was born, sir, on 25th December 1967 in Sokoto. I spent my formative years in Sokoto before I went to the Nigerian Defense Academy as a member of the 38 regular course. I was commissioned in 1991 into the Infantry Corps, and I've been there all through my career. I've had the privilege of serving my country. When I got to the Chief of Defense Staff of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, for me, is a defining moment because it gave me the privilege and understanding of the dynamics of the challenges confronting our great nation, Nigeria. And standing here, I pledge to give my best in ensuring that Nigeria is secured and safe. But we cannot do it alone. Nobody, no single individual can do it. No single parastatal can do it. We need the support of everyone, every Nigerian and everyone living in Nigeria, working together as a team. Because I think one mistake we make is we think the armed forces can solve all the problems. The armed forces solution is just 20-25%. Majority has to do with good governance, building capacity, working together with all the other MDAs. So we need to harmonize all this diplomatically again, our neighboring countries, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Benin Republic. We need to also reach out to them because if they're able to secure their own borders, it means our own borders will be secured. And it also brings me to the issue that we have on the issue of whether genocide or no genocide. We're all victims. Everybody is being killed. Everybody is dying. So that's why it's important that we must work together. And it is when we allow them have gaps that they penetrate. They don't care who they kill. These are a bunch of evil people that are on drugs. For whatever reason, we must stop the killings. Nigerians must not be killed, or anyone in Nigeria.
I feel we should just allow this gentleman to take a bow and go. Not carry. There's not. This is it. Most of the questions are security questions. Most of the questions are security questions. Not at this time.
It's noted. I did not say rejected, but noted. The reason I say so is that the man standing in front of us could be regarded as a solution to the current insecurity in the country. And we are not here on our own. We are here representing our constituents. And our constituents would like to hear from him whether his appointment will enable them to sleep well, whether their children will be safe in schools. So we are not asking him questions because we don't like him. We're asking him questions because our constituents would have loved to ask him questions at a time like this. So if we come here and we do politics of bow and go, this is not a period we should say bow and go. Even Donald Trump is on our neck. We have not yet asked him what his response will be to Donald Trump, the President of America. He is not just anybody. Chief of Defense Staff, a nominee for a Minister of Defense of a country, and you stand up and say you should take a bow and go, with so many questions on the mouth of Nigerians, with over 200 Nigerian children in the bush, kidnapped and being tortured. His appointment is heralded all over Nigeria with happiness because Nigerians believe he has something to offer. Give the man an opportunity to give Nigerians hope.
Would you, General Musa, I hope you would know the difference between your office now as a minister and your previous office as a defense, chief of defense staff. If he doesn't know, you can go and teach him.
A whole lot happened.
Yes, and
so much drama yesterday.
it was good to hear from. I'm glad the Senate President prevailed over that senator that raised a motion that he should take a bow and leave on self-recognition, because it's one of those things we see occur at the Senate when ministerial nominees come for clearance, so to put it that way. But it's good that Senator Akpabio did prevail and say, look, let's question him, because the senator that raised the motion, it was on the grounds of national security, that we're discussing security issues here. It might be very sensitive, and I don't think so. It's not going into strategy and specifics. He's speaking on a surface level. He's talking about the problems, which is obvious to everyone, and strategies that which it would use or the nation should deploy in ending terrorism in the country. So it was, I think it was better for him, for Nigerians to have a feel of what the new Minister of Defense is all about, his capacity, where his head is, and his ability to communicate these policies to the people and also the Senate. So it was a good outing for the new chief of the new Minister of Defense. Yeah, it's going to take a while before we get used to his new posting.
That's right. I mean, it's a good one. If you were to score his ability to navigate through the questions, what would you give him over 10?
I mean, I'll give him a sorry, apologies for that. I'll give him a good 8 or 9 over 10. Okay. Yeah, he did. Right. He did a very good job. And before we left, there was a clip of a senator that was asking if the minister would know the difference between
a chief of defense staff,
his new minister, and his previous position. And the Senate president's response was the most sarcastic response ever.
What did he say?
He said, "Go and teach him."
He said, "Go and teach him."
Yes.
I don't know what to say, but I think this kind of like breathes in a life of
a breath of fresh air.
A breath of fresh air, breathes life into every single security parastatal, especially looking at the Nigerian army. Because everyone, I mean, don't forget that the Minister of Defense is going to be working with all of the security or forces to ensure that, I mean, he's the Minister of Defense. So every defense force that you can think of, he has to ensure that he touches base with each of them, whether it's air, whether it's water, whether it's land,
and it's good that he's an experienced general, so he understands the nitty-gritty, he understands when it comes to equipment, the specifics of it, the technicalities, and it's not just a civilian that is overseeing the Ministry of Defense.
Another thing, one of the points he made, and I like what he said, he did say that one of the things he's going to do is that he's going to take away the army from checkpoints. They don't need to be at the checkpoints. He's going to ensure that the police and the Corps and others will just be there, but the army needs to go and handle the terrorists and take care of them.
Yeah, because that's their constitutional responsibility.
Yeah, a lot. Well, let's see what was said as well when every single thing was said and done, the grilling and so on and so forth. Let's go to what Nigerians are saying. Neo King says, politics aside, I'll probably ask some genuinely pertinent questions. It's clear that even within Nigeria's leadership circles, there's an awareness of the pressure coming from the U.S. and a need to respond thoughtfully.
Serious pressure. Yes. That's why I said Donald Trump is on our neck.
Deji says, I hate the idea of bow and go with everything in me. You're robbing Nigerians the opportunity to measure the nominees' plans. You're robbing yourselves of making sound debates and informed decisions on whether to confirm or reject. You're also robbing the nominee the opportunity to showcase his or her expertise. Let's see another tweet very quickly before we highlight some of the points. American pressure is making our senators sound the way they were meant to sound. I like the word meant. It's only unfortunate that it had to take an external interference for sanity to be returned to our dear country. Kudos, regardless. And that's from Ghost CFC. Do we have one more? Okay, Jimmy Not Carter says, General Musa now has the opportunity to prove that his exceptional appointment advances Nigeria's security imperatives. Success demands that he move beyond the cycle of perpetual reaction that has characterized military operations for years, instead presenting a coherent defense strategy built on clearly defined objectives, measurable benchmarks for progress, and realistic timelines for achieving sustainable security outcomes across the nation's diverse threat environments. Now, this one I would say grammar, plenty English.
And one of the senators...
This is what I highlight very quickly. Will he be able to carry out his plans? I think that should be the biggest worry for every Nigerian who has seen how insecurity has bedeviled the nation in terms of growth and so on.
No one person can do it. It takes teamwork.
No, I agree.
And a senator did mention at that at the plenary yesterday that if things don't improve in
after 6 months,
they will prevail on Mr. President to remove him.
Yeah, they said whatever it is, that's what it's confirmation. The confirmation is looking like it's going to be like a probation for 6 months. Just
I
like
wish
what?
I wish they did that to other ministers.
I wish
and
they did that
the people
to
that were there
even
before
themselves.
him.
Even themselves.
Yes.
They should put that in the constitution. As a lawmaker, if you haven't done anything tangible for your constituent or constituency, then after 6 months, they have the right to call you back and then put someone else
It's
there.
just that the recall process,
No,
according to our constitution, is like an elephant getting through the eye of a needle. It's very cumbersome.
Fact.
Yeah, but it would be nice if it was
Fact.
flexible.
But then again,
But another
if
point I
we
want to
have-
raise
Yeah, go
from
on.
one of the tweets we saw is the gentleman that says, "I dislike the bow and go tradition that we've seen in the Senate." And rightly so. You can't just, we need to be able to question you. But the problem is, the president sends a list of nominees without portfolios attached to them. So what are you going to base your questioning on?
Then they shouldn't have.
Yeah, so next time they should
scheduled,
make sure
yeah.
that portfolios are attached before they send them to the Senate.
Anyway, let's move on to our second, last wake-up conversation this morning, because we have a lot in store for you. A heated dispute between Nigerian music star Two-Face Idibia, or Innocent Idibia, also known as Two-Face or Tubaba, and his wife, has continued to grab the headlines, whether you like it or not, in all spheres or spaces on social media. Natasha, that's her name. Now, this story has led to a lot of conversations. While we're not here to look at the, who's at fault, what's that, and so on, well, the situation intensified upon the arrival in the UK, by the way. A video was purportedly shared on social media. I thought it was AI at some point until I had to wait to hear what people would say about it. But the row between both of them was further fueled by differing opinions on accommodation, with Natasha reportedly requesting a hotel in central London, regardless of cost. Yes, the cost is not the problem. The incident has sparked widespread media attention, with many commenting on the couple's private matters. And I think that's where it is. But the biggest story right now is the House of Assembly,
Edo State.
in Edo State, have now delved and waded into the matter. And they're wading into the matter because Two-Face's new wife, Natasha Idibia, is actually a member. And they're talking about how it's impacting negatively on the morality, on the reputation of the House of the Assembly. And that is one conversation that the people of Nigeria, let's say Nigerians, are now worried that, okay, is that a case that you should be talking about? That's someone's private life. In other countries...
Or is it because she's married to a celebrity?
That's another thing. In other countries, again, would she have tendered her resignation and say, oh, you know what, I am not fit enough for this role because of my personal life and issues, which is starting to cover and show that, listen, because I'm not able to handle my issues in private and bringing it to public, therefore I'm not fit enough to represent XYZ people. Will she do that? In other countries, it will be done so. I don't know if you agree with me.
Look, this issue should not even have been news in the first place, if not because of the Edo State.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at.
Edo State House of Assembly. If they had more important matters to attend to, they shouldn't do this, because other members have their private lives. Would they say everything is rosy in their lives? No. So why are you, I mean, she's like a victim here. Why do you cherry pick? Why is she in the spotlight? Did she break any laws? No. Did she act in a way that will bring disrepute to the Edo State House of Assembly? No. People have arguments in public. She didn't conduct herself in any way that is disgraceful. So why are you raising a motion on a private issue of a member of your assembly? I mean, you talk about team spirit and esprit de corps. Unfortunately, the Edo State House of Assembly members lack it, and you expect them to cover one of our own. Another issue that could be maybe because she's a woman, she's married to a celebrity, and so she's an easy target. It's just quite unfortunate that this matter is making the news. It's a private matter, and they should allow them to deal with it as two matured adults.
Okay. Well, then that means the conversation would tilt to whether it should be a conversation that should be had on the floor of the Edo State House of Assembly or not.
Because there's flooding in Edo State.
There's flooding, there's bad road.
Yes.
There's also the issue of we must wear the infinity cap. That could be a conversation that, okay, let's talk. When we were appointed, when we were brought to the House, there was no clause that said we must put this on. So
the issue of Mr. Governor promising the president ghost votes that...
I don't know if they would like to talk about
and the governor is only entitled to one vote.
One vote. So I don't know where they will get the
millions
of
votes from.
Those are conversations.
There's also issue of Father Christmas. Yes, EBS from Norway. Whether they should stop deceiving the people or just come clean and say, look, we just did all of this. Because it's a news station. And you believe everything the news station tells you from reputation. Because, you're blurring the lines when the news station tells you they just picked up Father Christmas on his arrival from Norway. And it didn't look, it came with gifts. And the people were very excited yesterday. Father Christmas landed in Edo State.
Linga, let's go to what Nigerians are saying very quickly. We'll take two of that. All right. Young African said, how does family affairs affect the State House of Assembly? Big question. That's what we're asking. Should it have been mentioned there? The House has every right to summon any of its members who display attitudes that go against the ethics of the House.
What's the meaning of attitudes?
Another big question. Benga, reputation and so on.
No, she wasn't fighting. She didn't break any law.
Well, Benga, come see, come sir. We'll leave it at that.
No.
We'll go on a quick break, but before we do, we'll bring to you what our top stories are. Plus, we do see your comments on social media, so feel free to join us. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and the likes. Drop a comment or two. But now, the big stories, the top stories on Breakfast Central.
This morning on Breakfast Central, Senate confirms General Musa as new Minister of Defense. We will be analyzing the rising cost of local flights, which is one of the most expensive in the world. We'll also tell you that the Federal Executive Council has approved the medium-term expenditure framework. And plenary on withdrawal of police officers. This was discussed in the House of Representatives. Remember, we'll bring you the newspaper front pages where you can call in and share your thoughts with us. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back. Air travel is an issue that affects, if not all Nigerians, but majority of Nigerians who prepare faster routes to their destinations as they plan to travel home for the holidays as the Yuletide season approaches. The question is, are you one of those who is looking to travel possibly to Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, or whichever state, and you're afraid of using the road? Well, let's tell you that domestic airfares on major Nigerian routes have skyrocketed, some by as much as 150% just weeks before the Yuletide season. One-way tickets on certain South and Southeast routes are now crossing the 300,000 naira mark. Yes, you heard that right. 300,000 naira for a one-way ticket from Lagos to Owerri or Port Harcourt.
Airline operators are blaming the surge on a cocktail of factors: high festive demand, aircraft shortages, and persistent operational challenge. But what does this mean for the average Nigerian traveler? And is this just seasonal economics or symptom of deeper dysfunction in our aviation sector? Join us this morning for this very important discussion is publisher CEO, Aviators Africa, Tony Ukachukwu. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Ukachukwu, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to always be here. Thank you.
From the last image we showed, that was 400,000 naira for a one-way fare. I don't think it's ever been at this high to fly domestically. We're looking at $250 about for a flight that is less than an hour, a domestic flight. Anywhere in the world, that will be high. The reasons given by the airlines, blaming it on aircraft shortages and high festive demand, are they tenable? And can something be done about this? Because it's very ridiculous. They're pricing people out of. It's way above the pricing of many Nigerians.
So thank you very much. I like the word you used, pricing out people, because even before this surge, people were already priced out. I mean, the situation where you have less than, as I always say, less than 10% of the population of to over 200 million fly by air. Just 10% at the regular price we're having it. Now that means a whole lot of people will be outpriced. But we didn't just get here. There's a whole lot of issues. It's a complex situation, from policy, from regulation, from operation, and then of course from FAN itself. So it's a combination of various factors, and I think as we go on, we're able to unbundle this. But that's reality right now, and it wasn't like we didn't see it coming. I had already spoken about this when I talked about overview of 2025 aviation sector for the year. I talked about towards the end of the year we're going to have issues like this. There's going to be surges, there's going to be Harmattan haze, there's going to be cancellations, there's going to be a lot of disruptions. They are not new, but we need to begin to deal with these issues and the factors that give rise to.
But why is it that the consumers have to bear the brunt of every other thing that doesn't have to do with them? So
like every business, I mean, the owner of the business has to look for a way to pass down the burden, to pass down the cost, so he or she, the business stays, afloat. In this case, the passengers, unfortunately, bear the brunt of all the issues that the airline operators are facing. They have to pass it down to the customer, who is the passenger. So it's normal.
People, a lot of us are afraid that when it starts like this, because they say what goes up in Nigeria surely doesn't come down. Is this really going to come down? Can we really say that this is as a result of the influx of IJGB? Because, for those who are, for want of definition, I just got back. Those who are just coming in to spend the holiday from the abroad. Is the price going to come down at any point? That's one. Secondly, there's also this 11%, that has been added to security and so on and so forth. Let's touch on the 11% first, and then let's later on touch on if the price will eventually come down. Is there hope on that?
So the price surge right now has nothing to do with the 11%. The 11% just kicked in December 1st, and is basically for international operators, international airlines, not for domestic. However, there are other taxes and surcharges that are already causing so much burden on the domestic carriers. Talking about whether this price will come down, I can tell you for a fact that except the conditions that give rise to this price at this period is solved, every December, every festive period, end of the year, the prices will surge to this amount. It's been happening for the last few years.
Is it peculiar to Nigeria alone, or it's
peculiar to Nigeria, and it's peculiar to particular destinations. So these fares are just made largely south and southeast. Okay, so if you're flying to the north from Lagos, it's about 100, 120, 150.
Yeah, because yesterday I got a ticket to Abuja for 140.
Yeah.
140. There's a lesser one for 125. And you're right. The moment another person who was with me wanted to say, okay, you know what? Let me go to Port Harcourt first, and it was different. And I'm like, why?
Yeah. So from Lagos to Asaba, Benin, there's just barely 40 minutes. The minimum is 300,000. And then of course, if you're doing Abuja or maybe Kano, there's about Abuja 15 minutes, Kano about a little bit over 1 hour. It's still about 125, 140. So when you're going up north, it's normal. Nothing affects it. Again, just like you talked about, I just got back people. So this is giving rise to a whole lot of people during the festival go down south, south, southeast, and then of course the surge. But just to give clarity to what is happening, it's not like the airline operator just want to. I have an issue about the imbalance, but again, the airline operators are really suffering for want of more information. Most of their aircraft are abroad for maintenance. They have capacity issues, a whole lot of capacity issues. For example, Airpeace, almost 10 of their aircraft are in maintenance handlers in different places across the world. And just recently, they kind of released some aircraft to mitigate this issue in this period. But
to keep the business running.
Going. But the lessors just withdrew the aircraft they leased for no reason, and they are battling $38 million loss at Airpeace as we speak. So if you want to just give clarity, Airpeace was looking to how to mitigate these issues and have capacity, because usually every Christmas there's capacity issue. There's capacity issue because the influx is just massive.
It's the aviation sector is very capital intensive, and it's a it's not easy for the players looking at the environment in which they're operating. But let's look at the low-hanging fruit. ICAO and IATA, I think they mentioned that we pay some of the highest taxes, aviation taxes. These are low-hanging fruits. These are things that are within the control of the government. Is there any way they can, like this body of aviation, the industry, the players there can negotiate with the government to at least bring it down to a reasonable level?
I think to a higher degree.
Or they've not been having that discussion? To
a higher degree, it comes from policy level. There has to be an understanding of why the aviation industry exists in the first place. Okay, if you have that understanding, then that will kind of give you clarity on how you should go about this. The multi-taxation that is happening right now in the sector shouldn't be. NAMA will come with their fares, their taxes. FAN will come with their taxes, SCA, everybody taxing the airline and they want to tax them out. And even though the airlines, like they say, get for body, they have their own issues. The operating environment is difficult.
Very.
Very difficult. The operating environment is difficult. And I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but we are going to see in the coming days, you're going to see a whole lot of disruptions, a whole lot of cancellations. The airports will be packed. There will be so much confusion because of these capacity issues and the operating environment. So these are the issues that that has to be dealt with. So FAN has its own role to play to make sure that facilitation at the airport are seamless. Nigerian Airspace Management makes to make sure that again, there was something that we were working on before. I don't know where it is now, where we are looking at when there are disruptions like this, airline will come and say operational reasons. And we work with some people to kind of give clarity to this. Don't just tell passengers
everything as operational reasons.
Who is at fault? Is it FAN? Did the carousel at the airport break down? Is there VIP movement? What is that? Is it weather? What is that? Don't just put everything on that. Passengers, if I pay you money, I have a right to know. But again, these are the issues. So there are so many issues that need to be tackled.
On this job, we talk to people in our industries. Just recently, the resident doctors called off their strike. And Joe and I would always open our mouths and say, wow, these guys are going through a lot. And when we talk to the lecturers, ASU, we open our mouths and say, wow, these guys are going through a lot. And then we're speaking to an aviation expert and you open your mouth and, there just seems to be multiple layers of problems and you don't know where to start from. But this administration has reached a 2-year mark. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, a lawyer by training, was appointed to lead that ministry. And we've seen a little bit of movements here and there. There was an air show just recently, Nigerian air show that happened recently. And also, he made that announcement, very bold announcement, of the transformation of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Beyond that, how would you assess the Keyamo-led Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace?
Okay, so before I start with rating Keyamo, we must understand that nobody can come into the aviation industry to perform any magic. Our issues are 10, 20 years, our deficit, whether
institutional.
Whether infrastructural deficit, from policy. We are so backward here, unfortunately. So Keyamo came in, he was very passionate and just went into work to try to fix some areas. One of the things that will go for him is the DERA, which is the Cape Town Convention, which allows Nigerian airlines to now dry lease. Dry lease, you can get an aircraft in. Before now it was wet lease, where they give you the crew, the maintenance, the insurance, and that is so much burden on the airlines, very capital intensive. But now, now the story, of course, is Nigeria's defaulted on that Cape Town Convention. So lessors were now afraid to now dry lease, and whoever is doing that will do that at a very high premium. So it was killing the airlines. So kudos to Keyamo for making that happen, which was why Airpeace was able to dry lease an aircraft. Unfortunately, they are back to square one with this, them pulling it back. But that's a reprieve for the airlines. They can now dry lease. So that is one key thing that he was able to solve, which is great. And then, but I would want more from a government policy level, from taxation, these taxes are multi-taxation is killing the sector. I mean, and it's from government. All the government agencies are taxing. I think the government should look at how
NAMA, NCA, FAN,
everybody's taxing. I mean, David, for passengers, FAN takes, I think it's $2,000 passenger service charge. For international passengers, it used to be $50, now $100. So they're just taxes everywhere. And if you look at the ticket pricing component, taxes and fuel goes up to 60-70%.
Wow.
And the airline just have 30 to 40% revenue.
When you buy the tickets.
Yeah, so people don't understand. So in that
300,000
ticket fare year, see, they're thinking that this airline,
they're making money, yeah.
The airline is just taking maybe about 75,000 naira in the whole of that ticket. Everything goes to fuel surcharges, taxation, this and that. So that's what keeps these things high. So from policy side of things, a whole lot needs to be done for government to understand that aviation, again, we've said this over and over again, that it's an economic catalyzer. It catalyzes the whole economy. So the more you let more people, allow more people to fly, the more it catalyzes
the ease of doing business.
And the ease of doing business, exactly.
I want us to look at, let's stick to tax. Just on Monday, the minister, talking about Festus Keyamo, was at an event. By the way, Nigeria celebrated 100 years in aviation. 100 long years in aviation. You've mentioned that our problem did not start today. So obviously, in that 100 years, we can rather deduce if we've done well or we can do better. But while the minister was celebrating 100 years, he also mentioned that this tax issue needs to be solved by the government collectively. He mentioned the Ministry of Finance and other ministries that will need to come together. The question now is this something that can be done in a short while, or is it a long term? Are we still going to project? Is it a projected
Do they have to go to the Senate?
Do we have to go through the entire process, or is this something that can be done immediately? And experts like yourself and many others, is it high time that they all come together, have a tete-a-tete with the minister, sit down with him and his team, and say, listen, let's pick 3 days and let's dissect the issues and let's get the solutions, especially on taxation?
Okay, thank you. As we are still on taxation, but let me just piggyback a little bit. There's an organization called Airline Operators of Nigeria. But what we find out with that operation, I've been across Africa.
That's AON.
There's AON. When you go to South Africa, there's South African civil operators of Southern Africa and then East Africa. They have a very robust organization, and they engage government, they get results. I'm not in AON, but I don't particularly think AON is pulling its weight. What I think is that a lot of their members individualize things. They go to the minister or go to the government to say,
fight their own battles.
So they don't have
collective bargaining
they don't have one point. So now coming to tax, when they were having this tax intervention and there were committee meetings in the Senate, people were saying, okay, these stakeholders in aviation should also be in the room to make a case for themselves. Apparently they did not, because again, there used to be no tax for aircraft, import of aircraft parts. Now they put tax on it, and that's another huge challenge. Okay, so we were left out of this whole tax conversation, and then we are going to bear the brunt. So again, which is the organization? I don't own an airline. The airline operators should be in the forefront of making sure that their own issues are solved, and then they're not always at the receiving end of any policy or framework that comes, because they are all struggling. All the airlines are struggling. They've been struggling for the longest time.
And when they struggle, I'm not doomsday sayer, it's just the next thing is terminal decline and they're gone. We have Harco, Chanchengi, Triax, Bellevue, Cabo Airlines. If you're even flying out of Lagos, there's an aircraft graveyard. If you look outside your window, you see it there. And it says a lot about Nigeria's aviation industry, about the business, about the business of it and the tough environment in which these airlines operate in. But looking at the business of aviation in general and the government's quest to diversify away from oil, this is a no-brainer given our geographical location. Nigeria should be an aviation hub. We're 7 hours from Europe and the Middle East, so traffic should really be going through Nigeria, but we don't seem to be harnessing it. What potentials lie in the aviation industry, and what can we do to be a global player?
Thank you for that. But let me just answer what Joe said about if this can be done in the next 2 years. The answer is no. They're just going to pass it to the next government because, I mean,
why no? It's just, is it not just to...
Yeah, but there are red tapes, there are bureaucratic,
Okay, yes.
To do with government, to even get let's get Minister of Foreign Affairs, or like Kiyamo said, to get these guys to sit down and have that conversation is a challenge, okay? Everybody just running in silos. So that's why I said there has to be a holistic understanding of what we want to achieve, have some kind of blueprint, and follow through. Do we have a blueprint? I think someone said, they had a 20-year blueprint, but I don't know. Do we have a blueprint? Can we follow that blueprint, after successive governments, so that we can have incremental push, towards achieving our goal? So that's another one comes, we go back again, we're just, anyway. Now, to answer your question,
yes, if Ethiopia can do it, global aviation hub like Bole in Addis Ababa, why can't Lagos be
First of all, have to have discipline, okay? That's one of the challenges, have to have discipline. The Ethiopian airline is government-owned, but with total 100% private sector-driven initiative, no interference, okay? So when you have everybody doing their own work, Joe is not coming to my side, everybody knows what they are supposed to do per time. I think it works. There's clarity. There's so much ambiguity going on around us. I mean, are you talking about making us a hub? I'll just put this out there because it's one of all the challenges. So imagine, we've all traveled out. When you have an international flight and you are connecting domestic, you just go down from that international, just go down the stairs and connect your domestic and go anywhere in the world. We see this, we know this.
You don't have to travel.
Why do I have to come after international? Like the guys that are going to come back, they're going to see hell, and they're not coming, they're going to connect, maybe they're connecting from, let's say, Lagos to Sokoto or Lagos to Edo. They now come down, follow that international...
go to General Aviation Terminal.
That traffic, that toll gate and all that stuff. Joe, if we can fix that, have a seamless connection from international to domestic, it will solve a whole lot of issues. And we have it. I don't know whatever you want to do. Do you want to connect a train from international? Because there's space.
There's space
internally.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to do underground? Whatever you want to do. There should, and I don't know why it's taking this long. So Virgin Nigeria did that. Richard Branson came out with that model. I worked to Virgin Nigeria. We land from Heathrow, from Gatwick at Murtala International Airport. You connect immediately from that, just move from one aircraft to another. You don't take your baggage, you don't take anything. And then politics came in. They said, why would Virgin Nigeria be flying, domestic airline be flying from international? They had to force us to move to MM2. And the reason Traverse said, no, I can't do this. So we must be progressive in how we do things. We should not always be backward. So only that point, if government, whoever is listening, can start working on that to have a seamless facilitation. I think it falls on the table of FAN. The only FAN's job is to make sure that as a passenger, I should have a good experience passing through the airport. Finish. If I don't have a good experience passing through the airport, you have failed as an airport.
What's your job as a regulator in the first place? Yeah.
You come down, the smell and the heat just welcomes you. You are back. And you start saying, what kind of problem is this? Well, I want to say thank you so much for helping us to dissect these issues. So then again, I'm sure our viewers and Nigerians now know why the prices are different, because even the airlines, like our guest here said, they are even struggling because it's tough, the taxations and every other thing. We hope that as we continue to advance in terms of our growth, maybe the minister would sit down with AON and stakeholders to discuss the way forward. He has said it already.
Yeah, and Tony should also be.
Oh yes.
Meeting,
By the way, Tony is going to facilitate something. I'm very sure of that. Very, very sure of that. Thank you so much, Tony, for
thank you for your time and expertise. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we have more conversations coming up here on Breakfast Central. Stay with us.
I think it was one private sector woman that just...
So when she started
just-
initiative, she contacted me. She used to be in the UK, came to Lagos, tried the aircraft charter, the tunnel work session. This of surgery, they came up with this idea of air shoes.
Good morning, Mr. Macri.
and
Thank you
all of
so
that,
much for your time, as always.
Good morning, how are you?
That's
Very well,
I go write this one.
We'll
share
join
with
you shortly.
Then you come. We can
Thank you very
facilitate
much.
this.
All right.
We can facilitate this one. At least, Kiamuna MD. The MD.
After a marathon 5-hour screening on Wednesday at the National Assembly, the Senate has confirmed General Christopher Musa, former Chief of Defense Staff, as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense. This confirmation comes at a time when the nation is grappling with escalating insecurity from insurgency to banditry and the scourge of kidnappings.
We should just allow this gentleman to take a bow and go. Not carry. There's no. This is it. Most of the questions are security questions. Most of the questions are security questions. Not that.
Give them any freeway, any aspects that they need to do. We must stop ransom payments. And in doing that, sir, even when ransoms are being paid, some other, because people want to do that, we can track the money is being paid and where does the money come from. There is a lot you can do using the banking system that we can do these things and track those things backwards. The use of technology is very important. And like I said, sir, if we're able to have a database and every Nigerian has a number linked to everything you have electronic, we can monitor anything. I think that's...
Well, if you missed the drama yesterday, it was indeed a seasonal one. But that's not all. In the same breath, lawmakers are also debating a proposal: the death penalty for kidnappers, a move that has sparked fierce arguments on both sides of the aisle. Well, joining us this morning is a security, of course, expert and one who has spent a long time, decades, ensuring that security is indeed what it should be, especially here in Nigeria and also from the international scene. We have former Assistant Director of the DSS, Mr. Dennis Abakri, joining us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm going to start off first by saying, are you as excited by the percentage of Nigerians who are happy to have General Musa as the new Minister of Defense?
Well, I was very elated because I was watching it right from the beginning to the end. You know, I was very elated. This is what we call Senate screening. Senate screening. And, some of them, especially when it comes to, what's his name? Senator Sani, Senator Sani Musa, yes, who said that the guy should bow and go. That's the old school. And they don't realize the importance of Senate screening. I'm happy that the Senate president have to come out and say, no, we have to screen this man. We have a problem. We cannot just come and ask them to bow and go, and we continue in the same old problem. Let him come and tell us exactly what he wants to do about the problem. And I'm so happy because they gave him some very good key performance indicators, you know, and if he follows those KPIs, which he himself, I think, is very much aware when he was CDS, I think we're getting somewhere.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Makri. Now, oftentimes we hear commentary that the hood does not make the monk, that the fact that you have a former military personnel in the helms of affairs does not mean things would change drastically. Can you paint a picture of the operational chain of command and where his influence would most likely lie? And this experience, this field experience he has, how would it work to our advantage? Because you have a chief of defense staff, you have service chiefs, you also have a minister of state for defense, and people are wondering if you won't have overlapping functions. Is that position actually really necessary? Because who will be reporting to who, and what is Mr. Bello Matawale going to be doing, really?
Thank you very much for that. First of all, I think you said the who does not paint the monk, and of course, but you see, this particular one we have is somebody who has gone through from the field all the way down to, you know, from operations to policy. Now it's into the policy making. Remember, we've always been complaining about politicization of security, you know, and this politicization is because the people who are taking the political decision, people at the policy level, are not, giving enough strategic and tactical direction to the people on the field. Now we have somebody who is there, who has gone through the ranks. You know, he has been in the war front, you know, he has been commander of Hadenkai, and right now he's, the policy maker now. And that policy maker, that position is the chief advisor, the chief advisor on national defense to the president. So I think this is one of the best, should I say, appointments that I think the president has made. And I think he will continue showing us his acumen. Many people are happy that he was appointed. You can see from the Senate, some people that's why some said they should just allow him to bow and go. But they said, no, let's face this problem. And I am happy they did it. And for the Minister of State, I think the president will do us a lot of good, you know, to either redeploy him somewhere and then, of course, bring somebody to give full support to the present minister. Okay.
Redeploy him somewhere and, possibly asking for full support. But, I mean, just 48 hours or thereabouts, a video had emerged of the Minister of State for Defense, former governor there, talking about that he was saying all bandits are not bad people.
Yeah, almost making excuses for them.
Making excuses for them while he was governor of Zamfara and so on. With this kind of mindset, do you think it will benefit the new Minister of Defense, looking at the fact that it seems they're not on the same trajectory
because he was
approaching the security?
He was against negotiations.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that I think the president will do the country a lot of good if you either ask him to go home or redeploy him. You listen to that video. I don't think that is the kind of mentality of the person we want to become, to be managing our national defense. You know, I think this is why we are asking people to explain themselves, so that we know whether you fit that position or not. Look at the kind of excuses he was given. And then, of course, when he was governor, I've seen him on TV frolicking with some of these terrorists. And well, he has been denying, but the internet does not lie. And then, of course, they've dug this out. There are more videos about him that if you look very well, you will see. So I think the president, if he wants General Musa to succeed, then there is need for this particular appointee to, step aside.
Now, Mr. Makri, you did commend the Senate yesterday, saying this is how screening should be done. And we absolutely agree with you, because it gives you an insight into the mind and the capacity of these appointees. And maybe the reason why we didn't used to get this standard is because you send a list to the Senate without portfolios. So questioning on capacity might be different. And because General Musa had the opportunity to speak, he was grilled for 3 hours yesterday, we could have insight into his solutions and thinking. And one of such is that he emphasized that the military component is only 20 to 25% of the security solution. He called for a whole of government approach, and he also emphasized a good governance. We spoke to Mahdi Shehu yesterday. He's a good governance advocate, and he did mention that, look, some of these northern governors have no idea what they're doing, and we spoke to him on the backdrop of the Northern Governors meeting and their communique of, pulling resources together, they're dealing with some of these issues. But he's of the opinion that they're only paying lip service to this. So what can the government do when the other components, I mean, the defense minister can only do his own part. When you don't have the buy-in of some of the state governors, some of these state governors are even working, it's counterproductive, their work. They're negotiating with some of these bandits. They don't believe in, dealing with the issues at source, and also the issue of good governance. In your view, what does that look like in practice, and can it deliver?
First of all, it is you're very correct that the president, when he sends a list to the Senate, should also attach the portfolios. I don't know why the portfolios are not attached. Are you keeping it because you want to negotiate on it? When you've appointed some people and attach the portfolio because you got them nominated because of their expertise. So attach it and let the Senate go through that list, and then of course come up with a robust Senate screening. About the governors, I'm so happy because you find out that General Musa understands this situation properly. He's been there and he knows exactly what they are doing. The people have shirked their responsibility. And I'm happy that he mentioned it, that we should start thinking about strengthening the police. We've been talking about state police, and I'm happy he saw it. Because what the police is supposed to do is what we are using the military for. And we have state police, they will go ahead well-trained, because it is the difference there is the training, and of course, we've always mentioned it here that a soldier is trained to kill. He cannot deal with civilians. The civilian-military relationship is very, very tacky. But the policeman is trained to protect and serve. And that is what we want. So train the police, train them in the tactics of, dealing with terrorism, dealing with banditry, kidnapping. All these are police jobs, and they can do it. Over here in the United States, that's what they are doing. They don't bring military people to come and pursue kidnappers or, even terrorists. I've always mentioned it. We have to train our police very well. We need to have a special squad, that is trained in special weapons and tactics. Because if, for instance, in Abuja International Airport now, you have a terrorist, taking over a plane there, you're going to bring the army, or maybe you bring the Air Force to bomb the plane. It's a police tactics, and they can do it. So I think let's do it, and of course, let the generals, let the governors wake up, and let them not say they want to donate 1 billion naira a month.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Yeah.
The security vote has been collected all the time, and they're not doing anything about it. So at least there's something for them to be doing now.
The reactions have shown that it took a world power to speak up in the presence of the United States, talking about Donald Trump, before we're starting to see a lot of movements.
According to Akpabio, it's on their neck.
Yeah, just like the game of chess. Everyone is moving now because we are starting to see activity. I have so many questions to ask Mr. Makri, but I think I'll take them one by one. Let me focus on the newly appointed Minister of Defense first, before we delve into other aspects. Hopefully we'll have time. His success is very critical, especially we've seen his thought process. We've seen that he has a lot inside of him to put out. And that's why many have said he's actually a square peg put in a square hole. He's the person that fits that role. However, his success will be determined by the actions he rolls out and the support he gets from the government. But there's a certain fear somewhere that the benefactors of this upheaval, this current situation Nigeria is faced with, are even within the government. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, during his time, had said that he even has Boko Haram in his government. He did mention that, which was also put out in the papers then. But how do you think General Musa will pave the way to success, knowing that he has to deal with these moles or persons who are even within the same military, even government and so on? Is it going to be an easy one for him?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And that's why I was saying that the qualification of somebody who is occupying that position is a very, very strategic position, and I think he should be working very, very closely with the National Security Advisor. He knows him already. They've been working together before, and the person should be able to even, have some kind of community alignment, align the military to the communities and stuff like that. The person has to be some kind of public relations person. It's not just a military and stuff like that. I'm happy that he said it, that what we need to solve this problem is all society approach. And if we are going to use all society approach, you have to do a lot of alignment in the society with different kinds of people, for them to come forth to do it. Now, as a policymaker, I know that there's a lot of politics being played, and of course, the president, really, I really congratulate him for this particular appointment. He has chosen him very well, and as a military man, it will be difficult to cow him. And then, of course, he should be able to speak up. He has been retired before, so he will not be scared that, if I say this, they are going to retire me. No, he will talk to the president. I hope that he has already discussed this with the president, that please, you will take my advice if you want me to come back. You know, so this kind of speaking truth to power, and then finance. He must have a financial backing. And he said it. I'm happy the Senate is also saying it, that look, the Committee of Finance Committee, Appropriation Committee, all of you, please, we have to support this man to succeed. Because the problem is not just easy, you know, to just appoint somebody, but the finance should come in. I tell you, the money that they are giving them sometimes don't trickle down to the people that are going to use it.
Doesn't that suggest
I'm
that
that the Senate is ready to do this, and we wish him all the luck.
I mean, doesn't that suggest that there should also be an upward review, an uptick of the soldiers' remuneration, salaries, and so on? Also, the process in which arms deal are done. Shouldn't the Minister of Defense be fully involved and take charge of that as well?
He has even said it. I think he said it that the remuneration of the soldiers, and indeed all security agencies, should be, you know, reviewed upwards. Because you see, we play with security. Security is very expensive, and of course, he mentioned it. You know, he mentioned what the cost of one drone alone, one drone. And if you shoot it and it misses, you've lost about 150 million or something like that. So, financing defense or security is very, very important, especially when it comes to a situation like this. If we want to get through it, then we have to finance it. Otherwise, you'll find out that some people are still making money out of it. Some people are making, even in the terrorist group, there are people financing them, buying them guns, buying them fuel, buying them food. They eat. You know, imagine the kind of food they are eating. Think of 200 terrorists who are coming into a school to kidnap 200 girls. They will all eat. Think of the motorcycles they brought. They must be fueled. So they finance themselves appropriately. We should also finance our own, our military and security forces to do it. You know, I always make these inferences, and people should note that it's so, so important. Although we cannot compare apples and oranges, but we are comparing security of lives and property. I made a quick analysis here. Our defense budget is 3.10 trillion naira. You know, and if you change that one into dollars, you're going to get about $2.14 billion. $2.14 billion. Now, that's our annual budget for 2025. The annual budget of the New York Police Department alone, not the state of New York, Police Department, is $5.83 billion. More than double our defense budget. So what are we talking about? You know, we have money which is being frittered away. People are stealing it, pocketing it, doing all kinds of things. These are the monies that we are going to be using. Some people tell, oh, we don't have money. Oh, the country cannot afford that. The country can afford that. In fact, the country realizes that by even giving the highest budget to defense. But are we giving them the right thing? Is it properly done? Do they get the money for their procurement and management issues? Or you give them a percentage? One senator even mentioned it. What they are giving them is about 20%. Where does the 80% go? So we have to realign if we're serious. And I think since the ginger that we got from the United States and, of course, the flurry of activities going on, let's go ahead and do this once and for all, because we cannot continue living in it. Everybody have realized that we are losing.
Now, finally, Mr. Makri, before we let you go, there's an African saying that says you can't go to sleep if your neighbor's house is on fire. General Musa at the Senate screening yesterday did mention the need for good neighborliness and for us to cooperate with the countries bordering the shores of Nigeria. You look at Niger and Chad in the Sahel region, and also the Republic of Benin. How important is it to have this type of neighborliness? In the past, we used to have what you call the G5 Sahel, and in the wake of the coup in Niger, everything, and Burkina Faso, and of course Mali, everything fell apart.
Yes. So he also mentioned it, which is very, very good. You know, I think he has the idea of what's going on. And I'm happy too that he has dropped that idea of fencing Nigeria. He is the same person who said it. And when he said it, I came out to challenge that idea because it's an old idea. Too expensive. How can you fence Nigeria? And when you fence it, how are you sure they're not going to break that fence and still come inside? So I think he has jettisoned that idea. But technology is where we're going to go. And he understands that. Technology. And then terrorism is such a threat, a security threat, that you cannot solve it alone. That's why we're even now cooperating with the United States. You know, many people will not know, but the cooperation have started already. You know, we are cooperating with them on how to take care of this border situation, counter-terrorism and all, okay? Now, our neighbors, I think there was some kind of strain when the AES states break out, you know, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. But I'm happy because some of the military meetings that has gone on, they have always been present. Their representatives come. And I think we should, you know, talk with them. Politically, they can decide to do what they want to do, but security, we have to cooperate with them because the same problem they are having. Forget about now we are having all these bandits who came in from Mali, Burkina Faso into Nigeria and occupying our ungoverned spaces. That's where they come from. And the base is still there. So we have to cooperate with them, agree with what is going on, and then, of course, see how we can strategize and deal with it. And that will include Cameroon, Chad, Niger Republic, and the Benin Republic, and, of course, by extension, the West Africa sub-region.
Thank you so much for your time and insights, Mr. Dennis Makri, as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more conversations here on Breakfast Central. Don't forget to drop a comment or two on our socials and let us know what you think about the story so far. Stay with us.
In 2024, Wema Bank was named the best workplace in Nigeria. We're talking about a company that has sustained service, innovation, and impact in Nigeria's financial landscape for 80 years. Let's explore the principal practices and cultural shifts that have shaped Wema Bank's journey, as well as how the Great Place to Work framework has influenced the organization's culture and what lessons other institutions can learn from this transformation. Join us this morning on Breakfast Central to discuss this. We're joined by the Chief Financial Officer of Wema Bank, Bumi Oladosu. and Chief Human Resources, I beg your pardon, Officer of Wema Bank, Ololade Ogunbenro. A warm welcome to you. Good to see you this morning.
Same here.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence.
That's right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Anyway, I think go ahead, man.
Wema Bank is 80 years. That's a long time in business. 8 decades. It turned 80 in 2025. Yes, it deserves a round of applause. An incredible milestone. What does this anniversary signify for the bank and its stakeholders?
Well, for us at Wema Bank, it is just not a number. It signifies our consistency, the trust, and it speaks about our resilience. Being the first, the only indigenous surviving bank in Nigeria, we don't take it lightly at all. So over the years, we try to maintain the ethos of our foundation, which is helping smaller businesses to grow. And again, to our stakeholders, we have come to affirm to them that Wema Bank is that bank that you can grow with, that you can trust, that you can be proud of. And that's what we're doing.
Oh, that's nice. Nicely put.
And they threw a very big party for their 80th.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
It was a great one.
We're not invited, so we can't really say
One of
much
us,
about it.
fortunately, she's on leave. She was at the party. Olive was at the party.
Okay. Anyway, let's look at how Wema Bank has been able to maintain resilience, especially in the face of a dynamic financial sector. We see it's growing, the dynamics are changing, and so on and so forth. For 80 years, I mean, how have you been able to maintain that resilience?
One of the things that we're very strong is our adaptability and our resilience. We've been able to grow and actually be very proactive. We're proud to say that when we looked at the landscape and we realized that digitalization was a key, we launched the first ever fully digital bank, and we've evolved over a period of time. In actual fact, Wema Bank is an organization. It is an organization that is very strong in terms of adaptability, resilience, and harnessing the resources that we have, understanding the landscape, and then defining what even the financial sector would look like in terms of its people, its processes, its culture, its technology. So the spirit of resilience, the spirit of proactivity, the spirit of adaptability. Innovation has been the bedrock and foundation of our organization.
Now, when we talk about banks, people often think financial. They think numbers and figures, and when banks are declaring profits, they see these figures. But, you know, ordinary people hardly give thoughts to the people behind these numbers, the individuals that drive and make all these great things happen. Wema Bank is known for its strong people practices. What principles guide your approach to building a people-first workplace? And why is it important? Why the emphasis on your employees?
Well, you know, for us in Wema Bank, we have 3 key principles. We look at the humanity. Every member of the team is allowed to feel ownership. We look at growth. If you are one of us, you know that you have the freedom to grow. We support you in career advancement, not just for the bank, but your personal growth. And we believe in equity. It's a fair playground. You know it's a place you can hear your voice. You can tell your grief and you'll be listened to. So these 3 has helped us over the years.
And you're deliberate about it.
It's deliberate, it's intentional. You don't have to coerce a Wema Bank staff to do something because you know it's ours. Awaloni, that's the language. It's our own, irrespective of the tribe. Because, there is this misconception that there is a Yoruba bank. But when you
I used to hear that.
I mean, the former name was
Agbomagbe.
Agbomagbe.
There will definitely be an origin. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But you don't stay within that origin. You have to spread. So in Wema Bank, it's not about the Yoruba. All the tribes are there. But the issue is that you have that freedom. You can be you when you're in Wema Bank.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's talk about leadership. How does leadership at Wema Bank ensure that it supports everybody who works there? It ensures that it empowers them at all levels they're seen.
Thank you very much for that question. And one of the things that we say, and it's not a cliche, it's about we lead from the front. For every leader in Wema Bank, we lead by example. It's not about do what I say, it's about do what I do. So we lead from the front and we listen. One of the things that we've prided ourselves is our ability to harness all the generation. We are a unique organization. Because of our age, we have all the age brackets. So we have the baby boomers, the Gen Zs, the alpha generation, and we've learned to listen to them. Listen to them, understand them, work with them, harness the strengths and the ability of each geography, each generation, and bring out the best from each person. We have a lot of platforms where people hear themselves and we empower them. We have an innovation hub where, irrespective of your department, you can make suggestions across various platforms. We have opportunities for you to be part of cross-functional projects. So I could be in operations and be in a project that has to do with business. I could be in operations and be in a project that has to do with human resources. And that has given that cohesion within the organization. And with leadership being in the forefront of this and listening and adapting and also giving feedback, this is really giving us that platform, to really grow.
Finally, before we let you go, in 2024, another opportunity for you to toot your horn. Wema Bank was named the best workplace in Nigeria, large category for a great place to work. What does this recognition mean to you, and why should other business owners imbibe this? Because we often have this culture that if you didn't struggle or suffer for things, then people will be so lackadaisical and all of that. But I'll let you answer that question when we return from this break. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversations with the great people at Wema Bank. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. We still have the beautiful women from Wema Bank with us this morning to discuss the work culture there and why Wema Bank is a great place to work and other great things happening in their organization. Before we went on the break, I was talking about the recognition Wema Bank got last year as the best workplace in Nigeria, large category. What does this recognition mean to your organization, and what advice do you have for business owners out there in terms of improving quality of output from their staff, and why it's important to have a great place to work?
You know, sometimes when you do things and you are not getting validation, you might not really treasure it. So the award came to affirm that indeed is a great place to work. It was an objective opinion. So what it has done to the workforce, the bank as a whole, is that one, you're on the right track. So that consciousness came to us. Second, people are watching. So that tried to shape us, not to go out of line. Thirdly, it helps our communication, you know, because everybody knows that, oh, people are watching, so they know what we're doing. So when you talk about it, the culture and everything, everybody is in it together because this is about us. Others are looking at us. And another thing that he did for us is that it helps in appreciation when it comes to performance of the workforce. It's encourage us to do more.
It's a morale booster.
Yeah, to appreciate them more. And then what it did to the workforce itself is to encourage them to do more. Because in Wema Bank, we believe that when you value a workforce, that workforce create value for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's true.
That is
And sometimes it's not just financial, right?
not at all.
Because when people think, oh, a great place to work, they pay me well.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. They actually put a huge responsibility on us as an organization. What it means is that our policies are they for people, our performance system, our culture, our communication, our community, our customers, our stakeholders. How do we engage them? What value do we give to them? And we've created a standard. What it means is that we cannot afford to go below that standard. I'd say our culture journey, it's a long journey. We didn't just wake up one morning to win the award. And it's a validation that all the hard work, all the deliberate actions, all the effort, both by both employees and staff and stakeholders, have come to yield a good fruit, because the Great Place to Work is an independent forum, is an internationally recognized award, and they have standards and procedures. So hearing from, getting this validation is just to encourage us that what we are doing is right and we're on the right path, but it's also a huge responsibility because it means that we can't afford to do anything less. We have to continue to grow and be better.
Interesting. I mean, we've had this conversation. We've looked at it from the bank itself, its processes, how it takes care of its staff, 80 years celebration. I think the final question now would be, as we anchor on this conversation, would be, now that you're certified Great Place to Work, how does this in any way, how will it affect Wema Bank going forward, especially how to maintain the same culture? Because sometimes you hear when there's a switch in leadership, an organization loses its systemic value because a new person comes in, doesn't uphold the same process, and then it dies out. So how are you ensuring that you sustain that same process?
Okay, we've made our values. We have our core values that we're imbibing. We've put in processes in place such that as you join us as a family, we become a family. And you tend to imbibe that work culture. You tend to imbibe those values. And those values drive everything we do as an organization. So irrespective of where you're joining in from, whether as an entry level or a middle management level or a senior level, there are systems in place to help drive and imbibe those cultures and those values. There are systems in place that help check those values. There are pulse checks, there are speaks-ups, there are lots of things in place that will help us continue to check that those values are being imbibed and being lived. And I can tell you for free, this culture has transcended 3 different MDs and CEOs. And so we've seen that the way and the processes works because we've transferred from 3 different managing directors, CEOs, and the culture keeps growing and keeps becoming it's actually a lifestyle for us. It's not a cliche, it's not a tagline, it's a lifestyle for us.
Very interesting.
If you know our current MD, Mr. Moruf Husseini, I think we used to call him Mr. He for She. It tells you that in Wema Bank, sex, grade, tribe, language does not determine who you are in Wema Bank. And that's why you can find 2 women sitting today. You understand? And you are aware that our chairman, Dr. Oluyemisi, it's the first that you will have an independent director being the chairman of a bank. So it goes to show the transparency, the intentionality in making Wema Bank a great place, not only to the workforce, to the customers, to the stakeholders and everyone around us. So it's part of us already. So irrespective of the change that comes, is already there. Or the new person is the one to learn and get used to what happened in Wema.
Very interesting. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Your time this morning. It was an absolute pleasure. And I'm sure a lot of business owners have learned a thing or two. And it's good to also learn more about Wema Bank. Thanks for your time and insight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you.
go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joining our correspondent, Saga Ibrahim, to give us an update on what went down yesterday at the Senate. Stay with us. Right before the breakfast headlines, we'll be joined by our correspondent, Saga Ibrahim, who was live very close to the entire drama that took place yesterday. Saga, would like you to bring us up to speed on what it was like yesterday during we'll call it the grilling session, because it was indeed a grilling session that the former CDS, now known as the Minister of Defense, had with members of the Senate. It was a plenary session that was indeed loaded. Quickly tell us what really went down and what happened.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Benga. So for the lawmakers yesterday, they really needed to hear from the retired Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, what he intends to do when he becomes Minister of Defense. Of course, it's not a matter of a concern of whether he can deliver, but you will not blame them because there's been a lot of pressure on some of these lawmakers from their constituents. Incessant attacks in areas that didn't used to be attacked before. A resumption in the act of abducting students. Something that we last saw how many years ago. It's beginning to come back up. Some of these lawmakers are under pressure. Just last week or so, we saw the lawmaker representing Kwara South, come up in plenary raising a motion of urgent national importance to say, look, the attacks have become too much. We need to call the service chiefs to come and brief us, and including the heads of every security agency, to come and brief us as to what is being done to ensure that these attacks are curtailed. So you will not blame these lawmakers when they say, no, we want to hear from him. We want him to speak. He had once been the head of the defense architecture. Now he's coming back, not as a soldier, but as the Minister of Defense. They've seen him perform this role as a man on the battlefield, having commanded, the Operation Hardin Care as theater commander. He has practical experience in warfare. So for them, it was not a concern about whether he was qualified to do the job, but what he intends to do to address the issues. Of course, they are not oblivious of the fact that he wasn't in service or in active service when some of these events happened, but they wanted to tap from his wealth of experience to know what the direction should be, in terms of responding to all of these issues. You would recall that the Senate intends to convene a national security summit. It has done the zonal aspect of that. What is left is the national security summit. So they want to hear from him beforehand to know what they should be focusing on, what they should be targeting. Even during this ministerial screening, they had even invited him to come and present a paper. So that was what played out, of course, owing up until the point that one of the lawmakers, the senator representing Niger, Senator Sani Musa, moved a motion that he take a bow and go, and that caused a bit of a rancor in plenary, with lawmakers arguing and shouting that he shouldn't do that because they've not gotten enough response. Their constituents will not feel that they've done justice enough and carried out their responsibility of representation should they just tell him to bow and go without at least getting to hear from him. So these are some of what played out, of course, until the Senate president came up to caution lawmakers and also restore peace and calm. You'll notice that he was actually standing. He wasn't standing as a coincidence. It was, in fact, a symbol of authority for the lawmakers to understand, because as per the Senate guidelines, once there is a bit of a rancor and the Senate president stands, it is expected that all lawmakers standing or carrying out whatever engagement sit and listen to the chair. And that is what you saw play out. He had to invoke that powers to address his colleague and restore calm.
All right, Saga, we're almost out of time. It's time for the news, but I think we can still just 1 minute. Can you tell us what was the perception like towards the newly appointed Minister of Defense? Perception by what I mean is, did you find people more elated and excited that we've finally gotten it right?
As a matter of fact, yes. In fact, they congratulated him. So that sort of points to the direction that quite a number of the lawmakers, they were quite confident that he's coming in to do the job. Remember, this is a chief of defense staff who just in August or so convened a African Chief of Defense Staff Summit, one of which we covered comprehensively, and we saw Chief of Defense Staff from African countries attend that conference in their number. This speaks to the kind of respect, that he commands as an officer. Talk more of the fact that he is retired and, he will now be taking over the mantle of leadership at the Ministry of Defense. This is going to be the policy side of things, but they have no doubt, because of his experience in the field, that he would be addressing and tackling issues specifically that affect the needs of soldiers. He is an infantryman. He joined the military in around the 80s, and he joined the infantry corps, and he had stayed in the infantry corps up until his retirement, of course. So he's a man of the field and he's a man of battle. I do not think for this time that the lawmakers had any doubt that he is the person that they need. And considering the fact that he received a lot of goodwill on social media, we saw the responses. We knew what this statement used to be in time past, considering the fact that Nigerians had expressed, some form of dissatisfaction or the other publicly on social media. So this goodwill sort of points in the right direction. And of course, they believe he is and should be given an opportunity to change the narrative.
Thank you so much for your time, Sagu. I'm sure we'll connect with you in our subsequent programming. Thank you, as always.
Pleasure.
Welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Borowa. The Nigerian Senate has confirmed former Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa retired as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense, following a rigorous 5-hour screening by lawmakers. His nomination, sent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in accordance with Section 147, subsection 2 of the Constitution, was taken up immediately by the Committee of the Whole during Wednesday's plenary. During the screening, lawmakers pressed the retired service chief on the state of national security, recent security breaches, and reported lapses in field operations across ongoing military engagements before his eventual confirmation. We now turn to education. The Rivers State government has begun revalidating teachers for immediate employment and deployment to public schools statewide. The teachers taking part are those engaged in 2023, but the process stalled. The revalidation exercise began on Wednesday as chairman of the Rivers State Universal Basic Education Board, Sam Oge, said the state government intends to close the manpower gap in the education sector, noting that majority of those cleared will serve in the rural area.
Records, it's clear that most of them are posted to the local government of origin, because this is where you find very acute. The shortage of teachers in our schools is more acute at the local governments or at the rural areas. So most of them have already their postings. They know where they are going to.
The Nigerian Senate has taken a major step towards strengthening the country's counter-terrorism framework with the passage of a bill seeking to amend the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. Under the proposed amendment, kidnapping, hostage-taking, and related offences will now be classified as acts of terrorism punishable by the death penalty with no option of fine. Leading debate on the bill, Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele said kidnapping has evolved into a highly organized criminal enterprise, adding that tougher laws are needed to protect communities and reinforce security operations. Several lawmakers supported the amendment, including Senator Adams Oshomole, who argued that the new provisions would close loopholes that allow terrorists to seek amnesty despite committing serious crimes. Senate President Godswill Akpabio ruled in favor of the amendment and referred the bill to the Committees on Judiciary, National Security and Interior for further legislative work, giving them a 2-week deadline to report back. Intense fighting erupted in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as Rwanda-backed forces clashed with the Congolese army and allied militias, even as both sides prepare to sign a peace agreement in Washington. Local sources report that the escalation comes ahead of a meeting in Washington on Thursday between Rwandan President Paul Kagame and Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and the United States President Donald Trump, where an agreement aimed at ending decades of conflict in the resource-rich region is expected to be signed. Violence in eastern DRC intensified in late January when the M23 armed group backed by Rwanda captured the major cities of Goma and Bukavu. Although a peace agreement was reached in Washington in June, fighting has continued intermittently since Tuesday. Clashes have fled at several points along the front line in South Kivu province, where M23 forces have been steadily gaining ground against Kinshasa's troops. An Algerian appeals court has upheld a 7-year prison sentence for French sports journalist Christophe Glazes, jailed in June on terrorism-related charges. Glazes was arrested in May 2024 after traveling to Tizi Ouzou in northeastern Algeria's Kabylia region to report on Jeunesse Sportive de Kabylie, the country's most decorated football club. According to media group Reporters Without Borders, he was accused of glorifying terrorism and possessing publications for propaganda purposes harmful to national interests. RSF also said Glazes faced allegations of entering Algeria on a tourist visa for journalistic work. The organization condemned the appeal court ruling in the strongest possible terms, insisting that Glazes had only done his job.
Je tiens à vous dire le choc qui est le nôtre. Je rappelle que Christophe Glaise est le seul journaliste français détenu à l'étranger. Il a écopé de la peine de prison pour la 2e fois, la plus lourde jamais prononcée contre un journaliste français depuis 10 ans. Et moi je vous le dis, sur quel ton il va falloir expliquer que le journalisme n'est pas un crime? Pourquoi la justice algérienne n'arrive pas à le comprendre? Elle a loupé aujourd'hui l'occasion historique de sortir par le haut, de montrer qu'elle était capable de clémence, d'humanité, de compréhension de ce qu'est le journalisme.
Possible. Il est inacceptable qu'un de nos concitoyens qui n'a fait que son travail, c'est un journaliste sportif, Franchement, il faut l'entendre. C'est un journaliste qui n'a fait que son travail de journaliste sportif. Alors certes, il s'intéresse au sport comme un fait social, mais où allons-nous si on condamne pour 7 ans de prison un journaliste pour les sources et les contacts qu'il a pu avoir? Tout cela n'a aucun sens.
Je pense qu'il est un peu dans le même état que moi. Je pense qu'on doit être un peu sous le choc parce qu'on avait de grands espoirs qu'aujourd'hui se passe bien pour notre famille. Cet espoir a été réduit à néant. Donc maintenant, voilà, on va prendre le temps de se concerter. Mais c'est sûr qu'on ne le lâchera pas et voilà.
Passer maintenant.
Maintenant, il y a 2 solutions possibles. C'est ou partir en cassation, et c'est une procédure qui est longue, ou de prendre en charge la peine et d'attendre une grâce présidentielle. Donc on va se réunir avec Reporters sans frontières, on va appeler ma mère, tout le monde pour savoir quelle serait la solution la plus juste et la plus propice pour mon frère. Et donc voilà, on n'en a pas encore décidé, mais c'est vrai que là, c'est un peu le choc en ce moment.
And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. Breakfast Central continues shortly with the newspaper front pages. I am Benga Aporoa.
You're welcome to Breakfast Central, and it's time to go through the front pages of the newspapers. The COO, Sustainable Stories Africa, is here with us. Nwade Hime joins us live in the studio. Good morning, Nwade.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Nwade, a living legend.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be parked next to an antique car.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not mentioning
it's a classic.
Oh, is it an antique classic then?
Antique is...
Did you see what happened before you could give it to him?
100 or 50 years.
That your model of car, it was specially designed and branded for you. I'm sure.
Can we talk about national issues?
Yes,
let's discuss national issues. As I started first.
By the way, have you seen the Father Christmas that arrived in Norway in your state of origin? Okay, we'll talk about that some other time.
Let's focus, please.
Can we talk about...
Let's start off with the Vanguard. The Vanguard is our very first paper we're going to look at, the Vanguard newspaper. On the front page of the Vanguard, no more negotiation, ransom payment to terrorists. Defense Minister, I like the way they just gave him that immediately. Defense Minister General Musa, no time, he says. Reps seek transparent prosecution of terrorism-related cases. Senate backs death penalty for kidnappers, financiers, informats, others. Open trial of terrorists won't change anything, lawyers say. But let's go straight into that conversation. I don't want us to waste time, reading all the headers. We'll just pick one or two and then we highlighted them. Mr. Hime, we need more time. We need more of your conversation. So, no more negotiation. I'm sure you followed through the grilling that took place yesterday for almost 3 hours. And what did you make out of it?
So let me first start by saying that I think finally, for the optics, the Senate decided to actually speak to someone who was nominated to become a minister. And it did a lot of good for us. Why? Because at least we're able to hear firsthand from General Musa what his plans are, despite the fact that he had spent about 20 minutes presenting what his thoughts were. And then secondly, when you consider the fact, I think he's a good fit for that ministry. He just left as the chief of defense staff, so there's still he's going to be working with people who he has worked with
and still very familiar
with. And also because of the fact of his knowledge about security, which is something that maybe I'm going too far, but I don't think the last Minister of Defense had that insight and in-depth. But for General Musa, I think he is a good fit. And I do think that, he has made a statement, but he now has to back this up with actions. No more ransom for terrorists. He's not the first person who has said that. There's even a bill that says you shouldn't pay ransom for kidnapping or terrorism. The standard mantra across the world is no negotiation with terrorists. even if you're doing it behind closed doors. But that's the standard mantra, and he has done that by expressing the fact that no ransom for terrorists. But the one thing I think I took away from him is the fact that they need to create a criminal database. And I was speaking to a few people yesterday, and the first thing that came to mind for me is, how do you do that when you continually create silos in terms of how you create a national database of system? I think if that needs to be done, the first thing, in my own opinion, and what should be done or how they should go about it, is getting the NIN system working more efficiently, and then integrating all these silos in terms of database, in terms of data information in different silos, to connect to that central position.
Yes.
So that everything feeds into it. And once you can do that, and then starting from January 1, you can have every baby that was born, the first baby that was born on January 1 can get an NIN before the end of the day.
Just like Trump.
Then what you have started to build is a system that can recognize whether we're 240 million or we're 600 million. That for me is a key part. And I think in order not to take it as another word that he has said, I know people will now start scrambling and saying, oh, we need to do this project. It cannot be standalone. It must be integrated with the Nigerian national identification number scheme. And that's, for me, is the only way where once you integrate all that, so even if someone is arrested at any police station, then you can put it into a system. And of course, once you bring in the person's NIN, it shows all these details, and then you put it there: arrested, charged, went to court, what's it called, found guilty.
And the history.
And then the history is there.
But let's hold on for a bit. Let's take this call from Aliu from Zaria. Good morning, Aliu. Aliu, we're having problems establishing connection with you.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, we need you to be more audible. Good morning. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Yes, good morning. I want to comment on this, on the appointment of a new chief of staff, Minister of Defense. I think my own view is that if the president has known that General Musa is qualified to do all this security program, why did he remove him from CDS? Because in the CDS, he will work better because he's going operational business. But in being a minister of defense, he is only making policy issues. He's not going to be on the field. He's not, and you'll never be so attached to practical operation of security. What I thought was,
well, Mr. Liu, unfortunately, we can't really hear you.
But we get his point. He was saying...
Let me just quickly say something to that. The Minister of Defense is the coordinating minister for security activities in Nigeria. So meaning that everybody under the security architecture has to work with him. And I think maybe it was something that was foreseen, taking him out as CDS and bringing him into that ministry because of his knowledge in terms of how security architecture should work. And I do think now is the time. So when people say, oh, he's just going to be in charge of policy, no, he's going to be in charge of ensuring that policies are put in place from a strategic perspective and are being implemented by those on the field.
So you don't agree with the caller that said it would have been more effective as CDS?
Well, he has done his work as CDS, so let's leave that. Now, can he now take that to that next level as the one who everybody has to speak to in terms of ensuring that the security architecture works well from a Ministry of Defense perspective, from a defense perspective of the lives and properties of Nigerians. That's how I will look at it.
Okay. Now, still talking about the Senate. Yesterday, they did the adjustments to the framework for kidnapping and banditry. They want to just label everything as terrorism. And some human rights activists are raising red flags, saying, even though we're in dire straits, that this might send dangerous signals. Do you think, even if the adjustments are done and it's passed into law, that the death penalty would be a deterrent, or will it curb some of this nefarious activities?
Okay, so let's first distinguish between terrorism and what you perceive as general crimes.
Kidnapping, banditry.
Banditry is standard for crimes.
Even the financiers, those who finance it.
Oh yes, everybody they want to buy them.
However, you see, like I've continually maintained, it's not about what you put in the act. It's about how do you implement it and enforce it.
Enforcement.
Because let's remember, whether it's kidnapping or banditry or it's stealing or it's corruption, there are laws against corruption in this country. We've seen the FCC carry cases to court and the judges have told them, oh, you didn't present it properly. Technicalities here and there.
But that's another issue.
But it's all encompassing. Because whether you capture a terrorist or you capture a bandit or a criminal, there are processes that you must follow, and is in that act.
Before you get to that part of
saying,
sentencing.
Yes, before you take him to a judge who will now say, okay, the evidence is so overwhelming. Then,
but it's also the terminology also allows them to use certain weapons and platforms in addressing these issues. Because if you remember, the Super Tucanos and some drones cannot go to designated areas, and if you say you're using lethal force on bandits, there will be human rights issues around that. But when you label them terrorists, you can go in.
And that's true.
Yes.
But like I said, let's distinguish terrorism, which is an act of crime against a nation, to what you call criminal activities.
Let's take Mohammed, who's calling us from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, sir. My name is Natasha Muhammad Idibia, calling from Port Harcourt.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Morning,
Please go on.
Thank you. I want to talk about the appointment or the engagement of the former CDS Musa as the defense minister. Well, I think I want to ask you questions. Was it also a modern practice, an act of error, or deliberate attempt to push it away and bring in somebody that will do the job for whatever it is? But I think there are so many questions begging for an answer. When you declare state of emergency and security, and you still sustain or retain somebody that does not have security background or experience, and still your minister of defense. The security management, it does not require religion, party, politics, friends, or relatives. It's just a result-oriented business. And unfortunately, we have people that are making money at the expense of the generality of the people, and they are not ready or willing to allow this insecurity to end. Now, there are simple measures to take in place, and Mr. President knows what to do. If you ban the use of Okada for 6 months, the attack will reduce by 90%. And I'm telling you, tell the people living in all those communities with the criminal elements that are alibis to leave those communities in 48 hours if they are not part of the crime. And after 48 hours, you can do the next thing. But every day you see them buying motorcycles to be used to pay ransom. You see them, nobody is gathering intelligence, we are not being reactive. Mr. President should also suspend the office of the National Security Advisor and the military. The National Security Advisor should be an advisory role. You cannot expect a 4-star general going to meet somebody that he believes has not had even a single war experience to tell him how to go around a situation that he has been engaged over 10 years. How do you get that? A professor going to speak knowledge from maybe an OND student that he has taught back in the previous 20, 30 years? I think we are not doing the right thing. How can you be waiting to take a personal directive from the National Security Office when the man you are looking for 10 years is already at the jail and you are ready to strike, but you need to update authorization before you strike. And after you strike and you are in distress, you need to call for a backup and you be told that there is no any approval for air support. I think we need to correct all these abnormalities if we really want to have our country. The president is doing the right thing, but we should look beyond party politics. Look for real people that are going to man the security and people that have experience. Not to bring in people that don't know where to go and what to do. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, a lot of salient points raised there.
Very many,
bureaucracy,
very many points.
Trying to go through the processes and so on. I think it's part of the questions we asked the security expert who joined us here. I remember asking him how he's going to cope. His success lies a lot. The Minister of Defense's success lies on how he's able to thrive, especially working with people.
Absolutely.
Either those who have been benefactors of this, of which many have fingered that they are in government. But don't take my word for it. There's a big story there on the front page of the Vanguard. Wade, I just need us to move quickly. Let's see how many we can cover in the short time that we have. U.S. issues visa ban on Nigerians involved in anti-Christian violence. Also, Niger abductees be rescued soon, according to Governor Bago. FEC OK's 2026-2028 MTF project, 34.33 trillion naira revenue. But in all of this, I'd like you to touch on the visa ban.
Yeah,
on
how effective it
is it in anti-Christian violence?
There are so many countries to go to in this world.
And that's a great point you made, Benga. If I don't go to America, I can go to Europe. Except there is a targeted attempt by America and its allies to say, okay, we want to impose visa bans or visa restrictions on particular people. But and I do hear that it's those it's claimed or is alleged that they are persecuting Christians. But like I always say, the first thing is Nigerians are being killed, and those who are alleged to finance or sponsor this, are they well known? Because if over the last 10 years we've heard, oh, they released some list, they released this list, they are aware, they are not aware, that's what you should do. If you say there are 400 people on that list, then just issue a visa restriction to that 400 in terms of what you think that their security risk.
Or provide the intelligence to Nigerian authorities and pressure them to do something about it. Because I don't think the visa restrictions don't do anything.
No, part of the ways to...
Must I go to America?
Part of the ways to pressure them, and that's why I said, speaking to your allies, part of the way to pressure them is to ensure that you put the visa ban on so-called 400 Nigerians who they believe are part and parcel of this, whether it's criminal or terrorism network, and then push your allies to do the same. Because what it then means is that you can't go anywhere aside from...
I like the angle you took it from, and I think we'll take it off from there again in continuation. Steve is calling us. Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling us from Ogun State. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I must confess, I am not a fan of President Bola Tinubu, but I must congratulate him now because for the first time, he has put a square peg in a square hole on the Minister of Defense. I am very happy with that. But my question is, will he be able to risk everything to give the man a free hand to do his job? Will he have the political will to damn all the consequences by supporting the man to do his job? If we can achieve that, I think we are good to go. Because the man has the experience, he's fresh from the oven, he knows the terrain, he knows what is happening. God bless you all, man. Have a great day.
Thank you, Silvio.
You could tell.
Great point.
Great point. Straight to the point.
But it's to what we were discussing, and I want us to look at it holistically. You said it's not by. So when they cooperate with the United States, cooperate with their allies, they put a Europe-wide,
Pressure.
worldwide
Yeah, so
pressure.
you put
visa
pressure.
ban. But look, terrorism financiers have committed grievous offenses against the state. They're financing terrorism that has led to actions against the Nigerian state. And why, it's kid gloves.
so-
Okay, the punishment is you cannot travel,
No,
you
no,
can't
but
go shopping.
you see that, and that's that.
What I think
bring-
is pedestrian to even discuss visa bans.
No, Benga,
Let the full weight of the law come on you. We don't need visa bans.
let's listen to him. Let's
I've
listen.
landed. I've finally landed.
Calm down. And your plane was flying too low. Below
Super
radar,
Tucano.
in my own opinion. Now, coming back to that, you see, when people say visa ban and those who finance terrorism, there are business affiliations around the world.
Okay.
So when you are unable, and you think that business transactions are concluded just by phones, of course not. So your ability to meet your network, to meet the people who provide those funding, to even tell them what is going on, how you're running those things. And that's why when you place visa bans, it becomes even more difficult for them to even channel those monies, because first, all the transfers would one way or the other pass through American networks. Now, so when you look at the way America deals with terrorism, or Europe deals with terrorism, and they place all those bans and restrictions, you find out that the countries that all these people go to are countries that accommodate them, are around them, surround them. Because that pressure is there. You can't leave your comfort zone anymore. Because in those, let me use Osama bin Laden, he could fly into America, he could fly into Saudi Arabia, he could fly into Asia, then you place all those restrictions on him.
He's stuck in a place.
He was stuck in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Yes, you will have people who, but then everybody now has to come to see you, which is even gives you an opportunity to start to track and track better. And how was he captured? How was al-Zarqawi killed he was an American, he ran into Syria, then went. So these are all the things, because it puts the pressure back on you, and then you come back and you stay where you are.
Let's not also forget.
So all these things are things that
Let's take another.
Is really important to do.
Let's take another call. Barrister Kingsley joins us this morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Can you go ahead with your contribution?
Good morning. Good morning. First, I want to appreciate the program and what you are discussing, and your guest for the insightful thoughts is pushing forward. I think it should, like he said, this list, not just only the American just mention or trying to put ban on these people, also the ally of this country. So they also push for it as a published list for more pressure to be put on these people. And another thing again, I want also say, the Nigeria people, the Nigeria government should be sincere with the Nigeria people. We'll be talking about names, links here and there. How long does it take to bring that this list? If it is the ordinary Nigerian man that committed one atrocity or one crime or the other, his name would have been flying, like a songwriter said. He said, if it is the poor, you see they are in crime fighter. But those who are up there, you won't find them. And that is the problem we have in this country. We should be sincere. These things are actually costing Nigeria. We should be sincere with the list. Let's bring that this list. Not only America, we must not only wait for America. Let's bring that this list. Let's even know these people to begin with. And that would be the solution, I think, to our problem. Once again, I want to appreciate what we are discussing, we are listening, we are following. I want to thank your patience for what you are doing, and it's really commendable. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Kingsley.
Thank you.
I would like us on that note to
Just one last thing, and I need to say this. Now, when you look at, let's look at the use an example of the drug barons in Colombia, in Mexico. It was the pressure of you can't go here, you can't go there. And then he starts to do what? Because first and foremost, businesses become restrained. Anybody who's coming in from Nigeria that says he's doing business, the scrutiny becomes more. Then what happens? Then the government now has to go in, because it starts from a beta ban, then it goes to economic issues, and all these things put pressure on government.
You think Bello 2G is not interested in traveling to America
we can't say
or
that.
Europe?
We can't say that.
See,
we can't say
it's
that.
not about where you are interested in traveling to. It's also about
where you also push the finances of funds.
your business partners and your finance.
But why not
structure?
Just go and deal with these people?
You can't. You want them to breach our sovereignty in Nigeria. You are the one always talking about
No, I'm not
sovereignty.
talking about America. I'm saying give the Nigerian authorities the intelligence. Let Nigerians,
But that's what they go. But that's what has been in the media.
Done. By the way, let's not go far. I just want to look at
the Nigerian authorities are well.
Let me just highlight very quickly that the story we're touching on is what we took especially from the Vanguard. It's also on the Punch. We're going to put the Punch on the screen pretty soon. U.S. malls visa bans over alleged Christian killings in Nigeria. Now, this is what the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said in his post on X. He said the restrictions will affect those who knowingly direct, authorize, fund, support, or carry out violations of religious freedom. So they knowingly. Now, I want us to look at this. That's the story you have just by the right. I want us to flip back quickly. Let's go back to Vanguard. Let's go back to Vanguard if we can. Vanguard, look at the headline there. No more negotiation, ransom payment to terrorists. And under it, you have reps seek transparent prosecution of terrorism-related cases. Senate backs death penalty for who and who now? Kidnappers, again, financiers or financiers, any way you want to call it, informants and others. So it's quite similar. I think this should be seen as a win-win one way or the other, because what the US is doing is also getting the backing and support of what the Nigerian Senate is also having a conversation.
Why do you need a visa for you to do business?
Sorry to break it. I want us to go back to the Punch again. Sorry, I'm just flipping around. I just wanted to highlight that what Nigeria is talking about is the same. So we're speaking a same language, in other words. And then NAS asked federal government to name terrorism financiers, abduction crisis. So what we're seeing now holistically is like both fronts. It's no more we're going to besiege, we're going to enter your territory. It's now saying, okay, we're now working together. If you're chasing them from up, we're chasing them from down. Therefore, we should be able to have...
There should be a middle point.
Where we gather them together and then we work together. I think that makes a lot of sense, so that Nigerians can actually see that the administration is putting in the work, just as the United States is also putting in the work. Benga, over to you. I don't know what story you want to take.
Let's look at... your finance guy. Federal government unveils a 54 trillion naira budget. Its debt servicing goes 16 trillion. That's a huge percentage. We don't seem to stop this boring habit. What's your take on this? But we have mega projects that we're financing. There's the Lagos Calabar Superhighway, 700 kilometers. There's the airport project and so many things. We need these developments, but at what cost?
At the cost of making Nigeria better, I hope.
Yes, but the debt servicing component.
Well, so if you're not generating enough revenue, as you can see, the expected revenue target is about 38 trillion. That's even with the new tax regime coming in 2026, which will take a bit of time to stabilize. That is certain. With nobody sure what the current crude oil production quantity is, still lingering between 1.3 million barrels and 1.6 million barrels. But if you ask most analysts in the energy space, they'll tell you it's an average of about, that's crude, it's crude on its own, not with the condensates and all. It's about 1.4 million barrels. That's all. And you mentioned projects. What beats me is in today's Nigeria, having grown up in this country and lived all my life in Nigeria, is what you said. What are the time frames for projects? Because projects are not on their own.
Should be timelines.
Yeah, there should be timelines. Like the Senate gave the new Minister of Defense 6 months to at least show us where you're heading to.
Yes, it's like a probation.
Yes.
If it doesn't perform, then
yes.
they have
so
to review.
You've told us this is your roadmap. In 6 months, what are you delivering? Which is what he's now going to go back and sit down and say, okay, we'll deliver A, B, C. And it's the same thing with projects, whether you're building a road, you're building a house, you're renovating, whatever. But this open-ended approach is what kills infrastructure development in Nigeria. A good example is the...
but they say man proposes, God disposes. So you can't... That's why we always put inshallah after everything.
From my own background as a finance person, projects have timelines and are dedicated and say, we'll produce this COP in 10 days. There might be other issues that come about, and then you have extensions.
You've given a definite
but you've given
timeline.
A definite timeline. So the handle will be ready today, the mold of your... And that's how it works. But when you tell me that, like the Lagos Calabar, they say, no, it's an 8-year project. It could be. But tell us that
phase 1, phase 2, yeah.
Exactly. So that we know how that funding is being done. Even if we're doing it from different parts of this country.
Proponents, yes.
So when you consider that, and you consider the fact that we are not generating enough revenue, of course we will need to borrow to fund the budget.
Is the borrowing not too much like this?
Well, then also to add to what Joe, just hold on a bit. To add to what Joe said, is the borrowing not too much, and can we not cut our quota according to our size? Must you do all these grand projects at the same time?
So,
knowing you're dealing with insecurity, I mean, the dollar term for our budget for security is over $2 billion,
which is small.
I think another thing is we've been
to answer our question.
Another thing is we've been hiding under the guise of we're not borrowing enough.
And which is when you look at the way statistics and the economic and macro and micro statistics are put together, our debt to GDP ratio is still small and is still allowable. But the question is, are you generating enough revenue? Now, are you investing in things that will create new revenue?
Good question.
I don't see that. I've not seen it.
Maybe Benga does.
I've not seen
I've not seen it. Instead, it seems to be stifling growth.
I think the last
and taxing the hell out of businesses. Look at the aviation sector, for example.
Yes. I know you're a bit because that 16 trillion is paying you well, but that's fine. And I don't think I have seen that structure in Nigeria since 1984 in terms of how you create projects. I know the administration between 1979 and 1983 were a bit reckless, but we can, to a large extent, in my own opinion, we can see a number of things that were created and they are still of value to Nigerians today. In Lagos State, the housing estate. In Lagos State, the Lekki Express Road. In Lagos State, the mini water works that were built across in Lagos State, the Third Mainland Bridge.
That was way back.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
But it's of economic value. Almost 40 years down the line.
We're still enjoying it.
And that's the point. And let's remember, all these things were done and projects were being done and they were put in phases and were done in a space of 4 years.
They were completed as well. Please.
Exactly. The Lekki Ekpe Express Road was completed in 2 years. We're putting one lane and in almost 20 years, we have not even gotten to Ekpe. And these are the problems that you have because you're not creating new opportunities for revenue generation. So what do? You borrow and borrow and borrow.
Well, there's a competition now. Anyway.
So let me just land and I'll land now. And so I would land. So we need to borrow to build this infrastructure. Why are you tying this infrastructure creation to the right timelines for project management and all? It's in Nigeria that you hear a government will come and say that I don't hear it anywhere in the world that government projects are abandoned because government is a continuum.
Why telephone projects?
It's a problem. It's a problem. Anyway, as we wrap up, I think one of the major conversations we'd love to have you on Breakfast Central and the production team is to look at the fact that why isn't Nigeria looking at having seaports in different parts of the country? Why is it that Governor of Lagos State recently
in Lagos,
was not happy when it was mentioned that a seaport should be created in the southeast. It should be vibrant and working. In an event he went to, he didn't take it lightly. What happened to Lagos Seaport and all that. And then the businessmen in the east are saying, come on, maybe we should now focus on having our seaports, because you know that part of the internally generated revenue that comes to Lagos State, obviously, the port is highly responsible. I mean, you know that as well as a business person. It contributes highly to it in terms of when you see, time will fail us, but that's a conversation we should have.
And I would gladly come and sit down with you and have that conversation.
No problem.
Once you just tell me the day and time.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much to unpack there. And there's so many things, because West states themselves are not even visionary enough, where you have governors who don't see. So let me give a good example.
Okay, our director is threatening to...
Quick one. Dangote refinery could have been in Ondo State, it could have been in Ogun State. But the question is, what happened?
Food for thought.
Thank you so much. That's all on Breakfast Central.
Yes, and see you next. Tomorrow, sorry.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.